2017 Skoda Octavia revealed, Australian launch due next year. The facelifted 2017 Skoda Octavia has been revealed tonight, ahead of an Australian debut set to occur around the middle of next year, just in time for the 2018 model year. Showcasing heavily revised styling at the front end and a subtle update to the rear, the Octavia steers clear of mimicking the big new Superb's look by adopting a quad-headlight design. While the Octavia maintains its characteristic shape, the changes to the front will divide opinion. Skoda's distinctive grille remains, but the treatment of the headlights, in particular, is sure to polarize the Czech brand's growing fan base. In what Skoda is dubbing a crystalline look, the Octavia's full LED headlights have been split into what it terms an adjacent arrangement to form the dual face of the sedan and wagon. New LED tail lamps are also featured, topped off with a darker cherry red lens finish. Skoda has also beefed up infotainment, connectivity and active safety features across the range, including trailer assistance, where the car will take over steering when reversing with a trailer. Also added is pedestrian protection, which will work in conjunction with the incumbent front assist system, while other active safety features, including rear cross-traffic alert and parking assistant, have been improved. But perhaps the Octavia's most nifty new feature is a customizable key which will allow multiple users to save and use their preferred vehicle settings. In addition, the range will now feature a heated steering wheel, folding tables on the back of the front seats, while the wagon gets a handy torch in the boot. Skoda has yet to reveal the final specifications of each car in the range, although the engine range already offered in Australia is not expected to change. That includes 110 kilowatts 110 TSI petrol, 110 kilowatts 110 TDI diesel, 162 kilowatts 162 TSI RS and 135 kilowatts 135 TDI RS variants. Watch for more details on the updated range to come in the weeks ahead.
Now we've got a bit of a blue car special for you today at the Booth International Circuit. Now we know that neither of these are sports sedans, but we're at the BIC because we want to see which one is unequivocally faster. Now you may not be setting any record times on your daily commute, but at the back of your mind, you want to know which one's faster, don't you? Now Hyundai's been making huge strides with each new model, and the Elantra is no different. It's refined, it looks good, and it drives well on the road, but what happens when you grab it by the scruff of its neck? The Octavia, on the other hand, we know is the benchmark as far as handling is concerned in this segment. So that's the litmus test. So enough talk, let the games begin. Let's get these out on track and see what this baby does when pushed to the limit. So we're going to start out in the Octavia, and I am wearing a Tissot V8 chronograph. Now unfortunately, I don't have a V8 under the bonnet. It's a 2-liter, 4-cylinder, 16-valve, common rail diesel that puts out 141 horsepower and 320 Nm of torque. Now what that does mean is that this car has the clear advantage of this duo in terms of power. It's also made it to a 6-speed DSG, so it's an incredibly quick gearbox and one that should definitely give this car an edge on the track. But the first thing you notice when you go through a corner in this car is how direct the steering feels, how rigid the chassis feels. This is based on the Volkswagen MQB platform, and they use it in a bunch of their cars. And it's not only very versatile, but it's relatively light, and it is extremely stiff, and it gives it really good handling. So you go into a long corner like this, I mean, the car's softly sprung because it's developed as comfortable saloon, so there's a lot of body roll, and that's why you get a lot of squealing from the tires. So it sounds like you're doing things to this car that you shouldn't be doing. But on the whole, it's a really good platform. Now typically the speedos in these cars are a little optimistic, so it's showing us a little over 180 kilometers an hour, but the V-Box will tell us what the actual top speed was. And this guy's very happy being thrown around the chicanes and the long corners of the BIC. So it's really just a question of keeping your foot planted to the floor and try and eliminate the amount that you need to steer to go around some of these corners. So just manage the understeer, manage the wheel spin. And it's very, very well behaved at the limit. The electronics are just interfering slightly. It feels a little bit uncomfortable when you're really throwing this car around. There we have it, folks. 245.1 to beat. Alright folks, I have switched cars and I've switched Tissot watches as well. The cool thing about this chronograph is that it's got a 1/10 of a second subdial. So every second the hand in the subdial does a full rotation. It stops after a minute, but it keeps going, so that when you stop the chronograph, it actually tells you your lap time to a 1/10 of a second. Now obviously, sitting in here while driving, I'm not going to be measuring lap times, but we have somebody standing outside at the starter's box with the other chronograph, which also has a 1/10 of a second subdial to tell us exact lap time, which is going to supplement the V-Box. So in addition to a nice chronograph function, my watch also has a nice racy black perforated leather strap, which is fitting because I'm sitting in a cabin that's all black, feels very sporty. It's got a more of a cockpit feel to it than the Octavia, and I feel like I'm in a really driver-oriented cabin. It's got a nice big screen, clear gauges, really nice center console with AC controls that are very intuitive, very easy to use. I've turned traction control off with the press of a button. I've got it in sport mode, and I'm ready to go. I've even got the seat ventilation on for the front seats, so it's blowing nice cool air into my back. So we've got it in manual mode. One of the things we're missing over the Octavia is it does not have steering mounted paddles, so I'm going to have to use the gear lever to change gears. It also has a 6-speed torque converter gearbox, so it doesn't have a nice DSG like the Skoda. So it's a little bit slower to downshift and a little bit slower to respond to my inputs, seeing that it's a traditional automatic transmission and not a twin clutch DSG. So we're getting to the front straight, put the power down, and immediately you feel the difference in the power delivery of these two cars. This has 126 horsepower, it's down 100 Nm of torque, it's 1.6 liters versus 2 liters, and it's definitely lacking a little bit of the outright grunt that you had in the Skoda. Brakes are nice and responsive, get the car turned in, back on the power. So driving up to the track on the road, I found that this car is incredibly refined. We're coming up to the back straight right now, and on the Yamuna Expressway, getting into the 3-digit zone in terms of speed is concerned was incredibly easy. Now, high-speed stability used to be the preserve of the German cars, and the other cars just didn't have that solid feeling on the road, but this one certainly does. You can get into the high 3-digit speeds and it is completely planted like it is right now. I can take my hands off the steering wheel at 160, 170 kilometers an hour. Well, it's certainly got a lot of grip. It feels incredibly planted, but the engine transmission is just struggling a little bit to keep pace with the frenetic activity that's being thrown at it. Where I do need to compliment this car is in its ability to ride the curves. It's got incredible damping from the suspension, and the ride and handling balance is spot on. I just wish it had a little more power for the track and a slightly more responsive gearbox, as I try and use all the track and a little bit more to extract as much performance as I can from this machine. There you have it, folks. 247.66, and I think that's as fast as we're going to go in these conditions, which means that it's about 2.5 seconds a lap slower than the Octavia. Now, frankly speaking, that was expected. What was really surprising about this car is the fact that the ride and the handling was absolutely spot on. On the road, the ride is absolutely fantastic, and even on the track, it allows you to ride the curves and take liberties with this car, and it feels absolutely 100% planted. Where it loses out, of course, is in absolute top-end power and with the torque converter gearbox versus a dual clutch transmission. The question is, are you willing to pay 3 lakhs more for those kind of luxuries when really the majority of time that you're going to spend in these cars is sitting in traffic out on the open road? What Hyundai is doing then is that they've tapped into the needs and requirements of the Indian customer absolutely perfectly. They're giving you a car that looks good, that feels good from the inside, that's spacious, that's good quality, with the exception of a couple of hard plastics, and they are absolutely throwing features and toys at you. Everything from airbags to ABS to traction control to a big screen and infotainment, cooled seats, the works. It certainly does the job on a daily basis. You can even grab it by the scruff of its neck and throw it around a racetrack and it will not complain. It's just that this engine transmission combination just doesn't have the juice to beat the Skoda on this day at this track.